Howdy, it's Kyle talking about California high-speed rail. This is a huge transit and infrastructure project that might very well change the way many Californians move throughout the state. But it has been mired in some controversy, but most of the discussion of this topic centers around cost overages or delays or politics. And if you do a search on the topic on YouTube, most of the hits are going to be from the California High-Speed Rail Authority themselves, so it'll be borderline propaganda. And there are a couple of YouTube channels with some back and forth talking about this, and I'm not trying to throw a log on that fire because I want to approach it from the geography angle. And I think too much of the discussion of this topic is coming from people that aren't from California or familiar with the geography. So I want to talk about how the geography of the state might help or hinder the project. And also, there are plenty of positives and negatives I haven't heard anybody else talk about. So if you want some unbiased, unfiltered information about this topic that is completely non-political, you've clicked on the right video. So here's a map that shows the routes of the high-speed rail. The blue are the ones that were part of the plan that was approved by voters. The brown is a privately funded one by Vegas casinos, and I'm not going to be talking about that one in this video. So the main idea here is to connect the major population centers of the state. So the San Francisco Bay Area and Sacramento in the north to the Los Angeles area and San Diego to the south, with a singular route going through the Central Valley between the two. This map shows the current rail modernization going on throughout the state. And there is a rail line that connects Gilroy and San Luis Obispo on the coast that isn't part of the statewide rail modernization project, but I will discuss it a little bit later on in the video. And so this is the project status as per the latest update by California High-Speed Rail Authority itself. So if you look in the middle of the map, the purple line surrounded by the yellow is where construction is already going on. So if you're driving through the San Joaquin Valley, you'll see an occasional overpass that will be the high-speed rail line. But the light purple is where you've seen very little progress. It's currently only with the environmental review cleared. They haven't even really done anything yet on it because this is the part of the state where Mother Nature is fighting back. And then the areas that are grayed out that will eventually connect up to Sacramento and down to San Diego will be done after all the earlier stuff is completed. So the next question is, yeah, there's a lot of people in the Bay Area, a lot of people in LA, but why do we need this train? We can already drive or fly. So as you can see, it takes about 5 to 6 hours to drive between the Bay Area and LA. Of course, it'll be more if you're coming from farther away or going more into LA or whatever, but it'll take you roughly about 6 hours. Travel time between San Francisco and Los Angeles by high-speed rail is expected to be about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And 2.5 to 3 hours is the target time to get between the two because that's about what it would take to fly between the two when you factor in going through security and all that. So right now, there are approximately 30 daily flights between SFO and an airport in the LA area, and there are approximately 15 flights between San Jose and any airport in the LA area. So if getting between these two metro areas by plane or train took the same amount of time, most people, including myself, would rather take the train. So now I want to go into some of the details of the plan, and I know this channel is known for being low-tech, but I think for this particular case, low-tech is actually better. But before I start, this map is beautiful, right? I got this off of Etsy for like 50 bucks. They have one for every state. It's on really nice paper. The designer's name is Olivier, I think. I mean, he didn't sponsor this or anything, but if you're interested in getting one of these, they're really cool. So, but this is the perfect map to show what I want to be showing because it highlights the topography very easily, but also the urban areas. So these dark gray areas are the larger urban centers. And the jet black areas it's water, so that's Salton Sea, Mono Lake, Lake Tahoe. So the dark gray areas are urban, and you can see the San Francisco Bay Area here. It's very gray because the whole thing is built up. Los Angeles here, obviously very dark gray as well. San Diego and Sacramento. So the idea of the high-speed rail is to go here, Bay Area, down to here. So you might already see an issue because the line's going to go this way through these urban areas, right? So that's already going a little out of the way. So that's not the most direct route, but the most direct route would be along this corridor here. And you see there's no dark gray. That wouldn't really serve many people as well. This is the Interstate 5 corridor. And if you've driven it, it's awful. It's like I-81 in Virginia. It's pretty terrible. So this is Highway 99 that will eventually be Interstate 9, but this is where most of the big cities in the valley are. And when I talk about the valley, this whole thing is usually referred to as the valley. I know if you're in LA, the valley is just the San Fernando Valley, but So this whole thing is the Central Valley, usually just referred to as the Valley. This upper part here is the Sacramento Valley, and none of the high-speed rail is going to be involving this area. This part here is the San Joaquin Valley. This is where you have a lot more people, a lot of folks here. And even though the population here is vastly outnumbered by these two areas, this part of the state is more populous than many, many states. So there's quite a few people that live here. So you can see why they'd want the high-speed rail line to go to these cities. But again, it's a little out of the way. So imagine if you live here in the Bay Area or you live here in LA. High wages, very expensive. So cheap houses. So you already have people from LA driving to Bakersfield, commuting this way. And so if you lived here and there's a train, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Because you could just get on the train, you can sleep on the train, you can eat your breakfast on the train, and you can have your LA wages with Bakersfield housing prices. And getting by train is a lot easier than going this way. And I'll talk about this right here. If you're from California, you know what this is. And that's going to be a big problem for this high-speed rail. And that's why it's having to go out of the way. But the same thing is here. Bay Area, high wages, very expensive, cheap. Actually, Stockton really isn't even that cheap. People have already been moving here for a while. Tracy, some of these towns here, Manteca. So there's already been some growth here by people from the Bay Area that have just been priced out. Or even if they haven't been priced out, maybe the people that can afford a house here just want to move here and save a ton of money, or just maybe they prefer the Valley as opposed to the Bay Area. So you're already seeing people do this. With a high-speed rail line, you're going to see a lot more of that, because I'm sure there are plenty of people that would like to save money by moving to the Valley, but maybe that 1 hour drive one way, that's too much. I'm not doing that. I wouldn't either. So, but a train, again, you can eat your breakfast on it, sleep on it, read memes, just do whatever. It's not that big of a deal. If you're a tech worker, maybe you only have to go into the office once or twice a week, and this 1 hour one-way train ride is not that bad once or twice a week. So this is Merced, and I think that Merced is being looked at as a place that they're really kind of focusing on, because one of the lines is going to come this way and the other one's going to come this way, and they're going to come together near Merced. It's actually going to be in this town called Chowchilla here. But so Merced is a home to the University of California campus, a fairly new one, but right here is Yosemite. So I really think that a lot of folks will consider somewhere like Merced, and this stop is kind of a weird stop. It's not a big city, but one of the big benefits of high-speed rail here that no one's talking about is, again, national parks. You could take a train to Merced, and the National Park Service could have an electric shuttle from Yosemite come here pick you up. I mean, how cool would that be? Just take a train there, take a bus there. You don't have to worry about driving into Yosemite. It's a nightmare on busy weekends and stuff. So the combination of Merced being within striking distance of a reasonable commute by train, new campus here is slowly getting hipster-fied there. Yosemite, I can see Merced being kind of not an it kind of place, but a kind of place that is desirable. Coming down here, this is where the actual junction is going to be. So the train's going to come this way, and this is Pacheco Pass. So if you look at the map of completion, this is the part that's hasn't even done the environmental review yet, because this is you're crossing over the San Andreas Fault, and you're going through mountains, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be tunnels here. So it's going to be like a little mini Switzerland here. But that's the way they have to go. That's the Pacheco Pass is the easiest pass to get here. So it's going to come this way. This one's coming down here. This town's called Chowchilla. And this town is already getting ready for hoping people are going to commute there. They're already planning on, okay, this is about a 1 hour one way. It's right where these two are going to come together. They're already building thousands of homes in Chowchilla in anticipation of people hopping on this train to get down here. So Chowchilla is not usually one of the places you think about when, nice places to move. It's not bad. It's just kind of a place. Fresno, I think, is just too far. No one's going to do 1.5 hours one way by train, or 2 hours. That's too far. So Fresno, I think, will still remain just kind of its big city here on its own. And here, this is where I'm from, and the station is not actually going to be in Visalia or even this town, Hanford. It's going to be halfway between, which is kind of weird, because if you live here, you have to drive to the station. And if you're on the east side of town, it'll be just as fast to go to the Fresno station. So, who's this one going to serve? I don't know. This would be nice in terms of having a national park shuttle come out of here for Sequoia Kings Canyon. But again, with the station being here as opposed to here, you're having to cross through my hometown. It's growing. It'll just add 15, 20 minutes to the time. But this is where the Amtrak line goes. So that's why they're doing it like that. Old politics is why the line goes through Hanford and not Visalia, even though the population here is bigger. But that's old politics. So, and it'll come down here to Bakersfield. And then one of the big controversies of this plan was that why is it going from Bakersfield here down to here? Why not just here? I mean, these are mountains. These are mountains. I mean, what's the difference? You have to go over mountains anyway. Big difference. So this is Tehachapi Pass. It's steep, but it's well known for having that train loop, the old school train, the regular train that has to go through a loop to get around this pass. It's pretty steep. And as soon as you get over that pass, you're into the desert. This is, a high desert area. This right here, if you're from California, this is the Grapevine. So if you've ever driven I-5 south from Bakersfield, from here to here is steep, very, very steep. I think it's the steepest incline on any interstate in the U.S. I'm not 100% sure. I think it is. But here's my question as a layman that doesn't know anything about trains. Is it impossible to get a high-speed rail over the Grapevine? I know with regular trains you can't, but is it impossible? Because I think it's just been assumed you can't do that. It hasn't even been discussed. I mean, the cost would be ridiculous, but just from a physics standpoint, so if anybody out there knows trains and physics, is that even possible, despite the cost feasibility? But anyway, this here is Palmdale, and it was kind of controversial because people thought it was the wrong reason why I was going there, because a politician from here was like, yeah, I want the train. And it's there. So people thought, well, they're just catering to him. Well, no, it's Mother Nature is in control here. Yeah, this guy got what he wanted, but that's not why they went that way. And there's also been some talk about why Palmdale. It's 150,000 people, but Lancaster is right next to it, 150. And this whole area is called the Antelope Valley. There's about 500,000 people there. There's already been a lot of people from LA be commuting here for a long time. Highway 14, it's been that way for quite a while. I went to college here in Northridge, and that was always a big traffic area there. So yeah, the fact that it's going there is not, there's enough people there to warrant it. And there's also Edwards Air Force Base, which is one of the top Air Force bases in the country. It's got a lot of the secret stealth stuff going on there. So you have a lot of need for a stop there, even though it is out of the way, but it wasn't out of the way to appease some sleazy politician. All right, so look at this plan. I keep talking about the valley. I know I'm from there, but I also think this is the part of the state that will actually benefit the most from it. And the state is never going to do anything for this part of the state, but I think backdoor reasons, this is going to be the part of the state that really, really benefits. So again, I grew up here. I can only imagine if this train was done when I was a kid. Imagine when I'm in high school. Hey, Mom and Dad, me and some friends, we're going to go up to San Francisco to catch the afternoon Giants game. We'll be back tonight. Hey, you want to go down this? Hey, guys, want to go down to San Diego? Get the early train. Takes about 3 hours to get down there. Spend the day there. Catch the late train back up. I mean, I would be on this train all the time. Let's go to Merced, catch the shuttle to Yosemite. I mean, all the time. So I think people in the valley will really benefit from this because we can get these places very easily. But do people from here and here want to go here? No, they're not going to want to go. They're trying to get from here to here. They don't want us to make these stops. The national park things might be useful for people from down south up north to take the trains and the shuttles to national parks. International travelers can fly in, or people from other parts of the U.S. can fly in, train to the national parks. A lot of benefits that people aren't talking about because most of the attention, of course, but population and money is these areas here, so they're going to get most of the talk. All right, so what about, I've been thinking, why not just go down the coast? Now, even though it looks super mountainous, it isn't as perilous to take a train this way as it looks on this map. But this is the US 101 corridor. Goes through Salinas, Monterey County, then San Luis Obispo County here, Santa Barbara, and then Ventura before getting into LA. There is an Amtrak line here, but they're only updating the part from here to San Luis Obispo. I'm not exactly sure why the San Luis Obispo to Gilroy section is not being upgraded to capable to handle high-speed rail, but it's not. Makes me wonder, though, do the NIMBYs here have any say in why everything is going this way? Now, I know more people live here, but a straight shot this way connecting the two would be faster, and that's supposedly the main thing to get these two areas connected. Well, that would be faster to go that way with no stops. I don't know. I don't know anything about trains again, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But I think it does put extra responsibility here. But on the other side, this part of the state has never been the part that's anti-growth. There's always been, please bring your company here, bring your jobs here. This is like the West Virginia of, actually, this is the West Virginia of California. This is the Alabama of California. And please bring your jobs. Please bring something. Bring your money. Just do something here. So the people here are not averse to growth, but they shouldn't have to be the ones doing the growth. I mean, there should be, you can build houses here just because, it's cheaper here. You can still build houses here. It'll always be more expensive here than here. But anyway, that's kind of ranting. But I do think there are a lot of positives with going through the valley that benefit the valley. But a negative will be wages here are high, houses here are cheap. So if you're making 150 grand here, a house here might cost 300. But if you're trying to outbid somebody, you might go 400. You can afford that still. Meanwhile, if you're trying to bid with somebody from Merced, they can maybe go 301. So, this person's going to win, and these people always have to pay more. Now, this area does have relatively high wages, versus housing cost, but it's still this is a poor area. This is a pretty poor part of the country, not just a poor part of the state. This plan, 100 billion, it's not going to be 100 billion. It's going to be probably 200 billion. But in 20 years, no one's going to go back and say, man, we wasted $20 billion or $200 billion on that. No, they're going to be like, it's a good thing we did that. So I'm okay with the cost. I'd rather not see the delays. I'd rather be it done tomorrow. But I'm okay with the cost. I mean, I'd rather not be so bloated and stuff. We'd like to have it obviously as cheap as possible. But I think in the long run, it'll be worth it. So there are some negatives. This might be expensive, might become really expensive. Who knows? But that's happening throughout the country, and I really think that is the only major negative I can think of. Is folks like where I'm from struggling to keep up with these folks moving in. But I mean, my bias says screw these people, but my geographer sense says this is where the population of the state lives. So we got 18 million here. 8 million here, so 26 of the 39 million are just here and here. I think this whole thing is 5 steps forward, 1 step back. So, great. So if you want my opinion on California high-speed rail, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up to let me know you approve, and subscribe to this channel if you're interested in learning more about geography. I do stuff like this. Everything's kind of low tech, but I'm a bit of a nerd, so the info is pretty good. But thanks for watching. Geography King, signing out. I'd like to give a special thanks to my superior patrons for their support, especially Noah. If you're interested in supporting the channel or to purchase a pin for the viewer pin map, check out my Patreon page, link in the description. And as always, thank you very much.